Alright, you primitive screwheads, listen up. It's time for two NerdSkis and a podcast!
Next level.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand spanking new episode of the two NerdSkis and a podcast. That was fucking terrible. That was fucking goddamn terrible.
No, dude, that was great.
We're
Too
doing
late.
it live.
We're doing goddamn live. All right, we'll write it out. So, anyways, that's Jeff, one of your hosts, and this is Eric as usual. And first of all, Happy New Year, everybody! Welcome to 2021. And Jeff, are you ready to move to 2022 already?
I'm ready to move to 50 fucking years and hopefully things aren't a spectacular shit show.
Yeah, I mean, it's already kind of, we're still kind of like in a weird situation as it is.
Clown world.
Yeah. And, we're just, you do the best you can with it, and you just gotta just figure out where it goes from there. But, so overall though, I'm doing all right. Jeff, I know you're doing okay. And, do you want to tell us listeners what you've been up to in terms of a certain thing, wink, wink, or whatnot?
Let's see. In terms of wink, wink. In terms of that, I would say just been doing my best to stay creative any which way I can. I actually caught a special sickness that you guys may have heard of over the last year or so. Yeah. Thank you, China. Anyway, it wasn't the worst. I've suffered through worse. I mean, shit, I had strep throat and chicken pox at the same time my sophomore year.
Really?
I did. I was.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
that must have been brutal.
dude. Yeah, I was out of school for like 10 days. It was rough. So it's, but obviously it's the effects are gonna vary on. It all depends on the individual and their health. So,
we just recommend everyone, just wash your hands, social distance as much as you can. If you have to go outside, you only go do the essentials. Wear a mask. At least know who you're going to be hanging out with. If you trust them, then you can maybe not so much. Okay, that just sounded hypocritical. But the point is just stay healthy, everybody, and stay safe. That's all we can really say in this.
And yeah, if you do end up getting it, don't panic. Just
work with the punches. We've known people who've actually had caught some case who have caught it and they've recovered, but we can't say the same for everybody else. But let's just do our part, okay?
Yeah, you'll feel like shit for a little while, but in the meantime, just keep your immune system strong. I'd say I would personally recommend vitamin C, vitamin D, and anything to keep the immune system strong, and every little bit does make a difference in the long run and to help expedite the recovery.
That's kind of actually, I don't mean to go any further, but it's kind of funny you mentioned that. It's a lot of people are saying that we need to get a vaccine, but honestly, it's more about, Jeff is right. I think for at least what I have observed, it's more about building up your immune system, because that's what's really going to help in the long run. Sure, a vaccine will definitely help prevent you from getting it, kind of like how how a flu vaccine works, but really it comes down to how healthy you are and how your immune system is the better your immune system, the less likely you are to catch anything. So, but yeah, I agree. Just build up your immune system from there and just see where it goes. Then again, this is coming from a kid whose mom is a nurse for like how many years, so I know a little bit of medical expertise, but I'm also shooting out of my own asshole here. Just saying.
That's nasty.
Mr. Plinkett there.
Oh my
20,
god!
2020 was more of a disappointment than my son. All right. Speaking of disappointment, no, that's not disappointment.
I was gonna say, oh damn.
No. I'm joking. But anyway, so we're here to talk Tremors 2. So, and this has been a long time coming. So, because I know, I mean, obviously, one of our very first episodes, we talked about the first Tremors and how
The
we have
the
always.
the greatest motion picture ever put to film stock.
It's not just because it's Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, is it?
Uh, they're two vital elements.
This is true. I do agree, but I obviously had known about the sequels and the TV series. The only like real sequel I had seen up to this point was Tremors 5 Bloodlines, and that was with Jamie Kennedy, and that was the first time I ever thought Jamie Kennedy was like actually not annoying and actually played a pretty good character for once.
Yeah,
So
it
I
was
was
like
not complaining with that.
it was the first time since Scream where I was like, oh wow, okay, so this is why Jamie Kennedy has a career. And then Tremor 6 came out and that backtracked everything, but we'll get to that eventually.
So Tremors 2. So why don't you start us off this, because really this was your suggestion and
Yes, it
I had never
was.
seen it before. So why don't you start us off with it? So like how like what is the story of Tremors 2?
So Tremors 2, it takes place 6 years after the events of the first film, and we find Earl Bassett once again played by uh, one of America's greatest treasures, Fred Ward. Uh, this time, kind of in a shittier position than Val. He basically got all this fame and attention after what happened after the events of the first film, but kind of pissed it all away. So he's running an ostrich farm. But that of course, like most things in Earl's life, uh, did not work out, and so he's given a second chance, a big second chance to basically uh, go down to Mexico as a Mexican oil refinery is being attacked by a new batch of graboids, and he's being offered $50,000 for each graboid, and so it's payday.
Uh Pretty much that's it. And then obviously as you find out there's a new twist with the graboids, but we'll get there. I mean, so pretty much so this was my first time ever watching this, and I'll be honest, I literally just watched this maybe 4, 5, 6 hours ago. And um because you told me not to say how I felt about this movie until we got
Yes, yes.
here.
So prior to recording this, we didn't talk about the movie at all. So I do not know. I
How
do
I
not.
feel.
I do
Yeah.
not know Eric's thoughts on this in any way, shape, or form. So Eric, what did you think of Tremors 2 Aftershocks?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, it was a lot of fun, but I do feel that it falls a little bit short.
It's definitely a step down,
Mhm,
but I think what because Tremors the original is such a lightning in a bottle type
mhm.
of movie where everything just kind of came together perfectly to create this really fun, exciting creature feature. And you had the right cast, you had a good director, you had sharp writing, you had these great performances from the central characters. It was fun. It was a little intense at times. It blended all those elements perfectly. And even though it wasn't a box office hit, it made a killing through home video rentals, and that's where the movie really found its audience. And so, a few years later, after after the popularity of Tremors elevated it to cult status, Universal was interested in pursuing a sequel, and uh, and however, during the development, it was decided that this will not go to theaters. This will go straight to video, and the budget will be substantially reduced because I think the original budget for the first film was about $11 million, and this film had a budget of $4 million.
It
And
didn't feel like $4 million to me, but
yeah, honestly, and that's and we'll definitely get to that. But
it's kind of like how like the first movie, like you said the first movie was made for 11 million, right? That didn't feel like an $11 million picture to me. That
no,
felt
not at all.
that felt like maybe what 30 million, maybe tops.
It basically,
Uh-huh.
and honestly, for when it comes to other straight to video sequels coming out in the 90s, this is one of the best ones. And
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I haven't watched a lot of like video sequels from in the '90s, but I've heard when I was looking this up earlier that this has a reputation of being one of the better direct to video sequels
it
ever
it,
made.
it definitely is because honestly, if it was just if it was given just a slightly bigger budget,
It
I would
could
say
have made it to
like it
theaters, actually.
easily because
Yeah.
it's a very polished movie. And
Yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
feel like a direct-to-video movie. I mean, 'cause the way the production is, the way that the mods, that the Graboids this time are designed, as well as the new creatures they're designed. I'm like, how the hell did this go straight to video? Like this was like the effects were on point. Although I will say the practicals were amazing, but the CGI.
yeah. So the so when it comes to the practical graboids, because just like the first film, Studio ADI came back to do the effects for this film, and they still bring their A game, and the practical graboids still look incredible. Like there's that one scene where the graboid lifts itself out of the ground and it's hyperventilating, and Earl and Grady are just kind of looking at it, just kind of testing it to see what's wrong, and it looks incredible. You see it breathing, you see it. It looks so alive, and uh, and but for the new creatures, which they're later called Shriekers in later installments, they're they're very well done design wise. However, it's very obvious that their movement is
Very limited.
very limited because whenever they actually have to walk around, that's when they often use a CGI shot.
Mhm.
And going back to the CGI, when it's a far away wide shot, it looks fine. Like it doesn't hold on the shots for too long.
And then when they
So
do up close, it's just
when they do up close, it looks pretty
it's
bad.
like awful. Ugh.
But
Like
again, but in terms of a straight to video movie from the 90s,
this is like way up there for
it
sure.
could have
Like
been
it's
way worse. It could have been so much worse. And even it's in terms of so it kind of borders on that line of that doesn't look the greatest. And then there's
but it
oh my,
doesn't look the shittiest either. Like it
it,
looks far away from the shittiest.
it's not the fucking Langoliers or something like that, which came out like a year prior.
I have an important business meeting in Boston at 9 o'clock.
Scaring the
Scaring
little
the little girl.
Oh god, fuck that movie.
Oh man. Do you remember what the Langoliers look like? They look like
like
they
like
look like meatball. They look like
testicles
skinless testicles
with
with
mouth.
teeth. Yeah. I mean, have you watched Rick and Morty? I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Have you watched Rick and Morty?
I haven't actually.
Okay, you should probably watch Rick and Morty at some point. But that's okay. Not only is that like an excellent like animated series, like the science is almost like pretty accurate, and they have two characters at one point that are like time. They're not really time travelers, but they're voiced by Michael Key, and Jordan Peele, and like their heads look like the Langoliers.
That's amazing.
So yeah, you should definitely check it out at some point. But so anyways, so who do we have? You just mentioned Earl, so that means Fred Ward's back. So who do we have in this movie besides Fred?
So, uh, so, uh, excuse me. Whew, the alcohol's kicking in.
Oh God.
So, what do you think I'm going to do? Podcast sober? So,
I do. What are you talking about?
I make it fun.
Yeah, well, you can make it fun without like stumbling all over the goddamn place.
The Graboid.
All right, fucking Stallone, I'm taking over the reins. So, all right, so in this movie, we also have, well, obviously, we have Michael Gross back as Burt Gummer, the greatest survivalist I have ever seen on a motion picture screen anywhere, and
I will
he's back
say,
in like top shape form in this movie for sure.
I will say, this movie probably has some of the best Burt moments in the entire franchise. Some of his lines are insanely quotable.
I feel
I was denied critical need
need
to
to
know
know
information. Michael Gross is a fucking legend.
Oh man, I mean the way he describes like being attacked by the Shrieker. Okay, so there at one point like he's like he first encounters the Shriekers and it fades to black. And at no point I'm like thinking, oh God, I hope he's okay because I'm like it's Bert Gummer, he's gonna be all right.
Yeah. As a critical drinker would say, nah, it'll be fine.
No, he'll be fine. So we also have Christopher Garton. He plays Grady Hoover. How do we describe Grady Hoover? He says what? He's a taxi driver. He's from the city. He's like a city dweller or city slacker. I don't know, but he's very much he's very much
So,
he's
so,
very
so,
much not he's not Kevin Bacon, unfortunately. But you know what? He grew on me, and I ended up really liking him at the very end of the movie.
so because Christopher Garden's character is where the movie could have gone very, very wrong if he was way too annoying, like Jamie Kennedy in Tremors 6, but we'll get to that. Then this movie would definitely be taken down a few pegs. But Christopher Garden really finds a good balance where he's kind of an annoying asshole at first, but as the movie goes on, you see that he has good camaraderie with Fred Ward. He they both have some snappy dialogue between each other, and like he's very, very charismatic, and you find out that he's very very resourceful at certain points throughout the movie. So he could have been an obnoxious male damsel in distress, but he ends up coming out of it a relatively likable character that you don't mind being there at all. Like it doesn't fill the void of the Baconator, but
No, it doesn't.
but him being there, it's like, all right, like you're fine. I like you.
Well, what I really like about Grady is that he's a good he's kind of learning under Earl's kind of wing. He's kind of taken under Earl's wing in terms out of hunt graboids, and like I love this one moment where they're like just eating lunch on a rock. The car is like right there, and they unfortunately leave the radio on the ground, and he's like, "You left the radio on the ground?" He's like,
Sorry,
"What?
I forgot.
Sorry, I forgot." And they're just like, "All right," and they just keep eating. And then like at night they've camped for the night, and like you hear a coyote howling in the distance, like,
Oh, he better shut up.
coyote. Yeah, he better shut up. And I'm just like, I have here in my notes when unfortunately the coyote gets eaten by the graboid. It's just like, poor coyote should have just kept quiet.
Yep.
But no, I really like the chemistry between the two. It really works. They have very different ways of approaching things. You mentioned earlier how like when they first meet, like the graboid that's like, what the fuck is going on with it? And he's just like, I got these ideas, and Earl's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Get off the ground!
Get off the ground! God damn it!
Okay. So I will say, probably my favorite sequence in the movie is because earlier in the movie they Grady has the idea of, hey, let's attract the graboid by dragging this chain on the truck, because the graboids hunt by sound. And a few minutes later, the graboid actually grabs the chain.
I know, and then you have
the truck.
this excellent like kind of like It's not. Would you say it's a chase where like
I wouldn't say
they're
it's
being
really I
pulled?
wouldn't say it's really a chase, but I think because I'm trying to put myself in the writer's perspective,
But
because
how could we make this scene fun?
exactly, because again, this is a relatively low budget movie,
Hmm.
and the fact that they were able to craft a fun sequence such as this with just dragging a truck backwards, basically. And because it's throughout it, you don't see the graboid, but you still feel the presence of the monster.
Which is a
And
great use of like it goes back to that kind of thing with I think we talked about in the first one where I mean, before you see the graboid, you kind of just see like the camera like moving as a graboid and whatnot, and then like the reveal. It's very much the Jaws thing where like you just build up to it, and once the reveal is made, it's so fucking satisfying. And like they do it here too, for sure. Although, I mean, again, the budget is the reason for it this time. Not that the budget was also the reason last time, but the budget is very apparent here. But it also works. It's very much like you said, like it's a clever way of still showing the graboid without showing it. And so the best way to do it is like snag that chain and just take it for a ride or joyride. And it's like,
exactly, like it's definitely something that it doesn't go too over the top and feels like that could have easily been in the first movie. Like it's like all the humor in this movie fits perfectly in line with, like, it's obviously not as sharply written as the original movie, but the humor is still there, because most of the original creative team came back for this sequel. And so so there's at least a consistent enough quality, so where if you watch these two movies back to back, if it's a very organic flow where it's like, okay, this does feel like a natural sequel. And one thing I did want to mention too, so in the original movie, you have the beautiful desert landscapes filmed in Lone Pine, California.
mhm.
And actually on uh, Arrow Video recently released a new transfer of Tremors, and it's one of the greatest Blu-ray releases I've ever seen. The way it enhances the colors, and you're able to see more of the wide mountainscapes of Lone Pine. It looks incredible. Like I can't recommend that Blu-ray enough. But what I like about this movie is that it creates its own visual style to it, in a way, to where it has the lush green hills and mountains of Mexico, but it still feels attuned to the original movie. And I feel like that visual, or like that change in landscape helps helps prevent the movie from feeling like a total rehash, because if they were just in the desert all over again,
It'd be
then
like doing the first movie all over again.
exactly. And
Mhm.
so and so what I think this movie does, what a sequel should do: take the elements that made the movie a success to begin with, and expand on it. And that's exactly what this movie does. Because for the first half of the movie, you have the standard graboid chase scenes, and you feel that these characters that have encountered them in the previous movie, that they feel they have the advantage over them, and they feel that they can outsmart them, and they're not really tripping about it at all.
Mhm.
However, when the graboids start acting weird, and they discover shortly after that something came out of it, like basically in a metamorphosis, uh metamorphical, I don't even know if that's a word.
It's close. It's very close. It comes out of like a chrysalis kind of like state. That's not even close to the word. But I think people will know what the hell we're talking about. But okay.
Exactly. Like as Earl said, like, whatever came out of it wasn't sure no little butterfly.
I just want to mention quickly, real quickly, one of my favorite parts about them being pulled by the graboid. By the way, during that whole scene, I called the graboid radio because it's there when you hear the radio in the background. My favorite part of the entire like sequence was when it just played mariachi music, and it gives it that she's kind
Okay, I also realized watching this movie that Jurassic Park 3 totally ripped off that gag from this movie. Like when the like
how so?
with the fucking when the cell phone ring is going off in the Spinosaurus's stomach.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
Like
forgot
you
about
took that from Tremors 2.
that. I forgot about that. That's how much I forget about Jurassic Park 3.
It's a forgettable movie.
It's a fun movie, but it's a better movie than what the rest of Jurassic World has come to. But that's another story for us.
Yeah, we'll get to those.
I kind of want to just finish out the cast a little bit. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
we have the other characters. They're not really important, but I just want to mention poor Julio. That was so
Oh, dude, that was brutal. Okay, so as a kid,
that terrified the fuck out of you.
that was the only Tremors kill that I always had to cover my eyes because I watched all the Tremors movies growing up, but that was the part that I always, every time it would come up, I always covered my eyes because it freaked me out.
Mm. But so anyways, the last cast member I really want to talk about is Helen Shaver as Kate
Yes,
Riley, the doctor who's there, and she's very much. I have here in my notes. She's like an older, more confident blonde Rhonda.
she
She
is.
knows
Yeah.
what she's doing. She's actually the one who kind of like explores more of the history of the graboids. It really sounds so. It kind of confirms. So like in the first movie, they kind of like question like where the hell do they come from? Like it come from like a meteor in the sky, outer space, or have they
I
always
vote for outer
been here?
space. No, these are local boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's what Earl says. But it proved. But like she says that they date back to the Precambrian era, and they make. Oh, that's my. I just dropped that shit. but but yeah, they date back to the Precambrian era, which they make a lot of jokes of later on. But the point is that yeah, this movie pretty much confirms that they do come from. They are from Earth, but they're probably much older than the dinosaurs, which is interesting. So that proves to show that like they've had a lot of years on them. They have. It goes to show that they must have like done something right because they have survived for that long. Obviously, I mean, like I love how she kind of like has the Precambrian age fossil, and it looks like one of the dorsal fins on the graboids.
Hmm.
And I was like, this pretty much confirms that they are from here. And then, like you said, Earl just goes, "Damn it! I wish they were. Oh, I was betting on aliens."
See, because normally I don't like it when sequels start explaining too much about either
Uh-huh.
like either a creature or maybe like some kind of or like in the like in some of the Halloween sequels they try to give
They
Michael
try and give an
Myers.
explanation for why Michael is Michael.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they basically try to give a bullshit explanation to why he kills people, and it gets way too convoluted and just ridiculous. And this movie could have easily fallen into that trap because one of the best elements of the first movie is that they throw out all these all these ideas to where they could have come from, but you're not given a definitive answer.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. What
It,
matters is like, oh
exactly,
fuck, there are giant worms in the ground, and we need to get the fuck out of here. I
exactly.
mean, here they give us here they explain it, and then it's just like that's it. They knew when to get the hell out of Dodge. Like just
Exactly.
explain a little bit, and then that's it. Because again, the more because right after she explains it, that's when Bert arrives. And let me talk about that fucking arsenal. I'm just like, by the way, the first time I saw Burt Gummer in this movie, I have in caps here, Burt fucking Gummer, and how he has that graboid head mounted
I
on his
want that.
fucking wall.
Okay, there's very few movie props that I would happily display on my wall. That's one of
That's one
them.
of them. You
I
hope
want
that
that in my
thing still
basement.
fucking exists, though, for sure. I don't know. I don't know. Do you think that thing still exists?
I'll break into the Universal prop vault
Archive it.
and go dig it out.
I mean, so by the way, so well, let me go back before we go back to Gummer. Let me just talk about Kate real quick. So I just like to mention that like so at the beginning of the movie, Earl, we see he's on an ostrich farm, and one of my favorite lines he says is like, "You're gonna start making eggs, or I'm gonna go get the barbecue sauce." And
Come on,
so when he's first
Wildflower. Let's go meet
when he's,
Susie.
when he's first approached by Sir Carlos Ortega, the owner of the refinery, and Grady, like, we go in his trailer. By the way, that's the nicest trailer I've ever seen for someone
That's
who's
not a
like
half bad looking trailer.
it's not bad.
It's like,
so
shit, I wouldn't mind that.
he mentioned, so we see that he has a pinup of a pinup of a playgirl or playboy on a wall. It's October 1974, and she's a blonde woman and she's very fine. And then
Oof.
you get to and then hold on, you get to later in the movie. So once they've started working with the Shriek, once they've started like running away from the Shriekers, they're kind of like having a moment, and she talks about, oh well, yeah, I did a little bit of modeling here and there, and I did this thing on Playboy. And he's like, October 74. And she's like, yeah, that was me. Oh boy. So it looked like he looks like he's met his future wife at this point.
Yeah,
But
pretty much.
I mean,
And
I think, I don't know. She's kind of I do like her character. She seems a little throwaway for me though, a little bit. She's
yeah,
not really very memorable, but she is a good character. It's just,
yeah, because
she didn't really offer much to it, unlike the main three do.
I think in terms of the leading ladies, comparing her to Finn Carter, because I think Finn Carter's Rhonda was a really good leading lady.
Mhm.
She was smart, she was resourceful, she had some good dialogue, and Helen Shaver is she's not bad by any stretch, but she's not memorable. I would say, and
No, I
uh,
agree.
and but she has some nice chemistry with Fred Ward, and I do like that little moment where they're checking out each other's asses while the other's not looking.
When was this again? Oh wait, when they were first they were first like getting to really know each other at the beginning. That's right, I remember.
Yep.
I was kind of zoning out for a little bit because I got distracted by something. But you're right, they do, don't they? That's pretty funty. Can we just talk about how great Earl is? So Fred
Yes.
Ward
Yes.
is back in top gear. Like I said, he's at the beginning. At the beginning. He's back down on his luck. Like you said, you mentioned, it looks like he's even worse. I don't know. He's managing an ostrich farm, and like I said, dude, I don't know, man. That trailer looks pretty fucking good. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
because
fucking got a grab. Apparently, they made a Graboid arcade game, and I'm like,
that always drove me crazy as a kid. I wanted to know what the gameplay for that game would have looked like.
How does that work? Okay, serious discussion. How do you think the Graboid arcade game works? Like, what do you think? What do you think it's based off of? Like, real quick. I'm like serious talk here. Like, what would you recommend? I'm thinking like Snake or
I mean, if you were gonna put a Graboid arcade game, especially in the '90s, I would imagine that you would try to. If I was developing a Graboid arcade game in the '90s, I would try to take on the Mortal Kombat violence approach, and you play as the Graboid. The goal is just to eat as many people.
oh my oh. Actually, that'd be really fun. Just like,
And okay, so
like you use the okay. So let me see. You use the joystick to kind of move around the ground, and then you sneak up on someone. And
yeah, actually, kind of a random piece of trivia. In the early 2000s, there was actually a Tremors video game in development, and it was
really?
it was
So
gonna.
what led to it getting canceled then?
I think the development studio went bankrupt, but and apparently it was going to be a third person shooter, and Burt Gummer was going to be a playable character. There's
Well,
actually
of
there's
course.
actually there's actually some screenshots of what the character model would have looked like, and God, I would have swooped that
Well,
up day
knowing
one.
you would have picked that shit up in a sec.
Oh yeah, no,
Actually,
even like you, because even if the game was terrible, like little Jeff would have played the shit out of it.
okay, let me see. I'm looking up some screen grabs here. Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah, right.
you would have okay, yeah. There's a Bird Gummer. You would have definitely like fought. You would have like run around. And you'd be fighting shriekers and shit, and then And then yeah, the model for Bert Gummer actually looks pretty good. Although I
Yeah, no,
will
it doesn't
admit
look
that's a
half
little bit
bad.
more that's a little bit more muscle on Bert than I'm usually accustomed to. Just because it's a video game. I'm like, are you sure Bert Gummer's got that much muscle on there? I don't know
And
about that.
I think it was supposed to come out in 2002, so it would have
It
been.
definitely looks like the PS2 Xbox era for sure. Of
Yeah,
video.
I think so. It would have been after the third movie, and it was probably supposed to debut before the premiere of the TV series because that came out in January of 2003.
Mm. That sucks. That would have been a fun game to play.
Oh,
And
dude, right?
uh, mm, such a shame. Well, I'm hope maybe. I mean, hopefully, maybe for further on down the road, because it sounds like. Well, I mean, we all know how like Kevin Bacon tried to bring back Tremors, and apparently fucking sci-fi thought that was. And I was like, "Fuck you! No, this is not. This shit's fucking like disgusting, gross." Um, I, I mean, you could totally make a Tremors video game again. I mean, the gameplay would be really fun. I mean, oh, by the way, side note, since we are talking video games here for a sec, you know how like, didn't you own like the Jaws video game back in the day?
I did.
It wasn't that game just about like you just swim around and you fucking eat up people and fucking destroy environments and everything. You fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There were missions where you destroy Coast Guard boats. I think there was one level where you fight a giant squid. It was
I wouldn't be
ridiculous.
surprised. Well, recently, so I have PlayStation Plus, and recently that Maneater game became
Oh
translated.
shit! How is that?
I don't know. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen gameplay online. I remember just watching gameplay online. I'm like, this is. They look like they took the Jaws game and just like changed it up quite and just added like mutated shit all over it. I'm like, this game
Just call it Jaws Unleashed remastered.
dude, I will let you know in a second when I start playing this game. You should eventually play this game with me at some point, dude.
Oh,
It's fun.
dude, no, we're playing the fuck out of
Oh
that game.
yeah, but all right. So, anyways, back on track here. Anyways, gang, let's get back on track for anyone who knows that joke. So anyway, so you're going. So yeah, he's got this trailer here, and Earl is just kind of just like, yeah. I mean, he looks pretty okay. I mean, like, sure, he could probably use a few couple $1 million, but like, as soon as he hears the prospect of it, I'm surprised he didn't suffer. I'm surprised he's not suffering PTSD from this. Do you think he is? I don't know. Wouldn't you suffer PTSD from that kind of shit?
Like after the events of the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on, you're being chased by giant fucking worms underneath the ground. Wouldn't you be like?
It seems
Wouldn't
like
you be afraid to like step on the ground afterwards and just like live high on top of like somewhere in the world? I don't know.
I feel like after he and Val were kind of launched into celebrity status for a brief while. Then it's like, yeah, I'm fought some giant underground worms and survived.
I don't know. Some other people do. I mean, I can't say for the other people. And like,
Oh, okay. So, total side note: there's an offhanded line where in the beginning of the movie where Grady says like, "Oh, that Reebok commercial with you guys running through the desert. I
oh
want to
my
see that.
god,
I want to see that fucking commercial."
that would be no. What was sadder for me is just like you look in his trailer and there's like promotional images from the first movie that are being used as like magazine covers, and I'm like, well, there's Kevin Bacon, and he's not in this movie.
And
Or that
I actually in the early drafts of the script, Kevin Bacon was supposed to return,
was he
but
supposed to,
but
yeah, I see here he didn't come back because he ultimately turned it down to do Apollo 13 at the time.
which it's an understandable move because at the time he had a very negative experience working on the first film,
That's
and
right. I forget. He thought that movie was going to destroy his career, but if
he
anything, that
did,
movie
yeah.
like restored his career.
It really did, and I like that that now he's like he looks back on it as like one of the I think he said it's one of the most personal movies to him, which I totally understand because
What was that nightmare you always told me about? He had where
yeah,
like
so he had this reoccurring nightmare that because while they were filming this movie, his wife was
Here's
like,
Cedric. Yeah.
yeah, like she was 8 months pregnant, and I think the nearest hospital was like 40 minutes away, and so he had these reoccurring nightmares because he was stressed out that I'm doing this movie where I'm I'm fighting giant underground worms. My career's fucked, and he had this reoccurring nightmare where his wife was being uh, attacked by monsters, and so at one point he was sleepwalking, where he actually picked her up and I think walked her outside, and she's like, baby, what are you doing? It's like, I gotta save you.
uh, I mean, to be fair, at the time he thought this movie was going to destroy his career, but I mean, I wouldn't blame him in that regard. I mean, but that dream still is pretty fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
so
But
I,
yeah,
so
I
I,
feel like this movie would have definitely benefited if there was just a little cameo from, maybe like even a voice cameo from Kevin. You'd be like, "Oh, Earl, sorry I can't join you there, but good luck there, shithead."
oh god, that would have been wonderful. But yeah, so I think so actually I wanted to go back to the Shriekers.
Yeah, let's talk about them. And I have to say, the design is fucking brilliant. I like I really enjoy the concept of it. What really freaks me out is when so the idea is that instead of sound, they sense things by infrared. I really like the infrared aspect to it, but I'm like, every time they sense infrared, they're fucking like,
that Shriek.
yeah, it's the shriek, and it's also just like the things stick up out of their heads, and I'm like, that's fucking. It's like their brain is popping out. I'm like,
It's like, oh, that's gross.
oh, that's kind of like,
And like
I don't know how I feel
you,
about that shit.
you see it
Personally,
pulsating,
like,
like you
yeah,
see it
pulsating
fucking
and shit.
pulsating. Oh, it's nasty.
Yeah, that's fucking nasty as shit. And then even so, like, and apparently the way they reproduce is like they'll eat like food or whatnot, and then they'll just like, apparently, yeah, they're hermaphrodites, everybody.
It's like, grab a bite to eat and you
Give
puke,
birth.
and out comes a baby.
It's kind of like
Circle of life.
it's kind of like, honestly, no lie, now that I think about it, it's almost kind of like Star Trek. Because like, I don't know if anyone remembers the tribbles, but like tribbles will eat and then they give birth from there, and that's how you get like a shit ton of tribbles. um, for anyone who's watched Star Trek, I don't know, dude, you've told me you've watched Star Trek. How the hell do you not know about the tribbles?
Dude, I'm as casual of a Star Trek
I
watcher
know
as
you are, but you told me you
yeah,
started watching the original series. God damn it!
a few select episodes, but I'm not watching it from beginning to end.
Oh, you've got to watch the Trouble of Tribbles. That's like one of the classic episodes of Star Trek. You've got it. You have to. Jesus.
Okay, I'll put it on the fucking list. God,
It's season 2. I don't remember what episode number it is, but it's season 2, and you will not be disappointed by how fucking awesome.
okay, I'll give it a watch.
But
Um,
anyways,
but
going back to how they give birth or like they reproduce. I'm just like, even then, that's also like, oh, that's kind of disgusting there too. Shit. And like, but I will say the practicals and everything. Holy fuck! Some of the best practical effects I've seen for a low budget picture of this kind of category.
yeah, like when the especially when that after the Shrieker pukes out its little baby, and it's it's just kind of crawling around and just like kind of taking its first breath. It
Mhm.
looks amazing. It
Oh
really
yeah,
does
for
look
sure.
amazing. It looks like a practical living breathing creature.
Mhm.
So what I wanted to say earlier was is part of the fun of the first movie was the characters learning about these creatures as the movie progresses, and constantly figuring out how to outsmart them. And what I like about this movie is that everything that they've learned about the Graboids, it doesn't mean shit anymore, and that they have to adapt to these new creatures and that are above ground.
Therefore, making the plot more fresh. You have new ways of trying to get around a problem and work around to make a solution out of it, which is exactly like how a sequel works. In that
Exactly,
regard. And
and
it works
thank and
brilliantly. Yeah, here for sure.
And thankfully, just like the first movie, the characters make really smart choices throughout the movie. Like, and
Are
they
you sure about that? Because there's that one moment where they were like they're running towards like this one building, and Grady and Katie's like, "Don't run to it! Don't run to it!" And like this is comedy gold. They just you go inside the building and you realize it's not even fully built. And she's like, why didn't you fucking listen to me? God damn it!"
aside from that, like the moment where where Earl puts puts the hot or puts the shirt under hot water and puts that on a on a clothing line and then just kind of reels it outside and use that as a distraction. Like, good stuff right there.
No, it's
And
brilliant. No, I like it. That I mean, again, I mean, another thing I really like is like, so we mentioned that Shriekers, sense by infrared, and that's when they have their fucking brains pulsating out. I'm like, "Ugh." But what I love is like when they try to get to one of the cars, one of the cars in the facility, and they have to like use doors, like they have to hide 2 by 2 behind a door,
yes,
and that's brilliant. And also like kind of comedy, it's a little bit kind of comedy gold at it at the same time, just like
it
adapting to a new situation and just like, all right, ready, left,
and
step,
step
step,
and
and
step.
step, and step.
Like
And it goes to show like how they
it's
have to
definitely
really, like,
Tremors humor.
what was that?
It's definitely Tremors humor.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because like even because in the first movie, what was one of the best moments? Oh yeah,
Pole
the best
vaulting.
yeah, pole vaulting. It's like no, like when Earl first tries
Shit!
it. Oh man,
Okay, so
that's
we gotta talk about the greatest scene in the movie. Bert blasting the fuck out of that shrieker with his big ass gun.
Oh, I just
And
want to
that
mention. I just wanna
motherfucker
mention.
just
By the way, before you
explodes.
get there, he's packing fucking heat throughout this entire fucking movie.
Oh, dude, totally.
And then like as he's and then like he comes with the like that military truck full of like C4 and shit. You know how like so at the beginning of the movie, the way they like hunt the graboids is like they put like dynamite sticks on the RC cars and just blow them up. He puts a fucking like he gets like mini tanks and puts C4 on them, and it's like, they're nice little explosions here and there, beautiful explosions. Fucking like Bird's explosions are like fucking nukes in comparison. Like, holy shit, because he's got all that C4 on there. Like
4 pounds of C4 may have been a bit excessive.
By the way, so I just want to mention real quick, since we are talking about Bert, so obviously his wife in the movie is played by Reba McEntire. Obviously, she didn't come back for the sequel. So the way they wrote is that it looks like she's leaving Bert, and the way he's like, she asked me to send the HK one. Like that's how
that's such
like
a great
that's how you
line.
divorce people, is like, give me that gun.
And what I like about this movie is that it gives like rational explanations for why some of the prominent characters aren't returning. It's like because Earl has that line of because Senior Ortega said that we tried to contact Val, and then Earl says, well, yeah, he married a good woman, why would he want to get himself killed? It's like, yeah, that makes sense. And
Don't they have a child apparently, and that child's in your least favorite Tremors movie?
fuck it. We'll get to that fucking movie, that goddamn terrible fucking movie. Spoiler alert, in the future, I don't like Tremors 6.
What?
Spoiler alert for the future, I don't like Tremors 6.
Who gives a fuck if it sounds like you hate that movie? But anyways, that's besides the point. But yeah, why would Val want to go risk his life when he's got Rhonda, and like he's he's finally like got a good life out of it. So he's like, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. Just the hell with you guys. So now, so like, so Earl, what are you doing here?
So actually, one of my favorite lines in the movie was I think when Earl calls up Bert, and then Bert says something like, "Can you believe that she blamed our relationship
On the Cold War,
like on the collapse of the Soviet Union?" Like, well, you did take that pretty personal, Bert. It's like,
I knew it was either the Cold War or the Soviet Union, but I don't remember the specific line, which was brilliant.
Yeah, and I think he responded like she thinks that that I can't survive without the threat of global war. What kind of thing is that to say to a man?
Well, you have to remember again, like they were, building up as survivalists. They were probably gearing up for probably that essential thing, and they ended up using their arsenal against the Graboids. By the way, I love how when we first see Gummer or Bert, it's that wall of guns, and it's a nice callback
That
to that.
big, beautiful wall of guns.
Broke into the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you?
Oh, that's one of the best scenes
That's the
ever.
best scene in like all of like cinema, probably.
It probably is.
Except for one shot in that thing, but that's besides the point. But no, that fucking shit is beautiful. But yeah, so he's got all this heat, and he's packing like he's literally packing heat. And I, by the way, I like how they use the budget. They use the idea of they use the budgets to their advantage with it. And so he's describing like how he's like, I lost all my ammo. That has never happened to me before.
Anyway, he looks so defeated and depressed.
And it's a great way of it's a great way of utilizing the budget, because obviously you don't have the budget to like do all that shit.
Oh yeah, plus the way he describes his encounter with the Shriekers, where like they were surrounding me on the hood, so I popped it into six wheel and I ran them over, used hand to hand techniques, I unloaded, and I'm just like, and like every time I hear that, like my imagination just goes wild with how that would have played out.
I literally have in my notes description of how I fought the Shriekers is beautiful.
And honestly, I think not showing it kind of makes Bert even cooler.
Because he's just like, that's right, I went to war and I came back and I'm sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the super rifle, that fucking the ways that cover your ears, I'm like, oh shit, this gun sounds like
shit's going down.
And like he literally annihilates the thing. Unfortunately, they do blow out the car that they're trying to use to get the fuck out of there. But
I will say that's I really like that shot where it's it's a nice little tracking shot, just kind of following how far that bullet really traveled. Like it went through a few walls, an oil barrel, and then it just happened to go through their car engine, the only working car. And then everyone just looks at Bert. He's like, I don't know. How could I have known?
Can we talk about can we pause for a second, just really discuss just how what did they say? It's made the bullet. He only used one bullet in there, right? It's made out of the finest bronze. Was that the idea of the gun?
Yeah,
or at least the bullet. What do you think that kind of gun exists in real life? It has to. It has to. Like
I'm not a gun expert, but
neither am I. I know quite. I mean, like Galen, who was in our last episode. Let me tell you about him and his love of guns. But like, I don't think he knows. Even that gun
at this point, I do not question Bert Gummer.
I mean, no, neither do I. I mean, that fucking gun alone, the way you load it up, it's like loading up a tranquilizer gun. And it's just like, it's very bolt actiony. And it's just like one shot, one kill. And yeah, that, by the way, that's at least bigger than a 50 cal bullet. That, like a 50, have you seen what a 50 cal bullet does in real life?
I have one. I haven't seen one done in real life, but I've seen videos, and that shit shreds.
It's like shooting a rocket. Almost a mini rocket, and then once it makes contact, it's like.
I wonder. So based off the shot, of Bert firing the gun, does it look like Michael Gross actually fired that?
I haven't really thought about that. Do you? I am
because if he did, because
I think your listeners.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If anyone knows this for sure, here. Eric, start talking about something. I'm gonna look the scene up because that's gonna drive me crazy.
What I really would like to point out with the Shriekers, the way they sense things with their tongues too, and I just like, that the tongue was great in terms of just how fucking grossed out it made me.
Oh, do you know like that one scene where Bert's in the tractor and all the tongues are kind of feeling around to trying to find him. And he just has the knife out like that. That honestly puts me on edge every time I see it.
Mm-hmm. And it's just that I mean, great practical effects again, but still, seeing that tongue alone is like, are these also descended from Gene Simmons? Is Gene Simmons secretly like a shrieker? It would make it totally would make total sense. Actually, he's not the lead singer of Kiss, but like, come on, that tongue alone. Have you seen the way he flates that tongue everywhere? Like, Jesus, he has to be. He's probably maybe a human shrieker. Probably, I don't know.
Okay, I just watched the scene. It's Michael Gross.
It is. Oh, so it is him shooting
You you goddamn legend.
the. Oh man, just You know what? If we, what would it be like if we could try and get Michael Gross to come on and talk about it?
Honestly, that would be incredible.
That would probably. You know what? We should. Why don't we do a few more episodes on Tremors first, and then let's try and
That
get Michael Gross on
yeah,
here.
like that would be a great.
Sounds like Michael would definitely come like talk to anyone about Tremors, and like he seems to really love that franchise.
He
So
does.
like I would love to like hear his opinions on that thing. Oh wow.
Yeah, honestly, if I think like maybe after we finish the last movie, that would probably be a good time to get in contact with him. So anyone listening, we're not making any definitive announcements.
Well, we would love,
We
to
literally
talk to
just
Michael
pulled this
Gross.
out of our asses. So we're not saying we're getting Michael Gross.
But we would love to speak
Well,
to him because we really want to know like how did it feel to shoot that fucking giant gun? That must have been like, oh Jesus, tell us about that shit. Oh man.
oh, just wait for the opening scene of Tremors 3.
Mm. Anyways, going back to I just want to point out something with the Shriekers, which I've liked. Much like the Graboids, like they are learning. They're very they adapt to like their situations. They learn to develop. Although it does lead to like one of the worst CGI shots I've seen in the movie, and that's so at one point they've done the classic thing of like where they or like Bert, Kate, and Grady. They're all on top of like the oil drum or whatnot, and then like obviously they can't climb. So what the Shriekers do is that they hop on top of each other to try and get there, and then that's when Bert comes out of the tractor. Is like, "Come here, you bastards! Come and follow me!" And he leads them into the warehouse. But leading up to that, just the CGI didn't. It's just like,
It's
oh,
it,
CGI.
it was a
You're doing so great with the practicals, and I'm like, oh no, not
I mean,
this.
because I'll at least throw them a little bit of or like I'll throw them a little bit of leeway because at least it looks like they only utilized CGI when it was absolutely necessary. So for
sure.
shot
Right?
so,
No, I agree, but still, even then, I'm like,
it's like,
this is
it's you didn't have the budget for that one.
no, it didn't. By the way, yeah, it's all,
Oh,
and then so now we're at the end of this thing, and like they've closed the Shriekers in there, and they're like, and then they realize, oh shit, there's all this rice flour there, and like they're gonna multiply and shit, and so and
nope,
so
rock rips through paper.
I was gonna, God damn it, you beat me to it. That's a nice little. I love how it's a nice little callback to the first movie. You know how so like in the first movie, like Val and Earl, they settle everything with rock paper scissors. And then the last time they did rock paper scissors, like Val just punches Earl, and then goes to like save the little kid, goes to save everybody. Um, but and this time he's like, let's do scissors, paper, rock, and he's just like, the first time he does it, like I have here in my notes. Apparently, scissors is a great way to steal beer.
Yep. It's like 1, 2,
Three,
what? Scissors,
what?
rock, paper.
And then like here, Bert's and then Bert when Bert's got a plan, he's like, Bert's always got a plan, usually. And then Earl's also got, I got a plan, sort of,
Sort of.
sort of. Oh, another one of my favorite quotes in the movie is like, so when they first realize that the Shriekers are hermaphroditic, so and then they learn by infrared and whatnot. So like the reason why the car engines are blown up is because the way they eat the car engines, because the car engines are red hot and they've just been turned off. And so one of my favorite quotes is from Grady's like, they've been acting smart because they're so stupid.
So I love that line because yeah, that sounds about right.
Steal that I'm gonna steal that fucking line for some of my other projects. Another great line I like is when Earl sees Pager's remains. He's like, "Oh, it's a whole new goddamn ball game. It's a whole new game. God damn it, shit."
I love that one line where like they see Pedro's truck kind of stop in the distance, and
He's taking a piss.
that's a long
One
leak.
hell of a piss. And then what's the other? Where does smart? Okay, where does I forget? When does someone say "smart little bastards"?
Oh, I think it was like right when the Shriekers are like jumping on top of each other.
That was it. Yeah, that was that. That was that. Yeah, that's when Bert just sees him and goes, "Smart little
Little
bastards."
bastards.
And I'm just watching her and just go, "Oh, that CGI just makes me uncomfortable to watch."
Just wait for the TV series.
So
It looks
can we talk?
really
Can we talk about how they ultimately kill the Shriekers?
yes, it's fantastic.
Here, why don't you explain it? Because I feel like I'm not going to do it justice.
So so in order to so Earl
So first of all,
proposed
Earl's got a plan, sort of.
the sort of plan is that Earl suggests that hey, you got bombs in your truck, douse me with like just douse
I
this
think it was CO2 is what he was
yeah,
doing.
like douse me with this CO2. It'll cover my body heat, and I'll plant the bomb. We'll get the hell out of here.
Which,
And
by the way, that's actually honestly like
that's not a bad plan.
yeah. I mean, like you talk about how stupid, like they're just normal people. They don't have the best plans, but like that's pretty ingenious to like douse
It
yourself
is. It really is.
that way.
And so after Earl gets in there, he starts getting warmer, and then the Shriekers, they see him, and so he just kind of throws the bomb in with every other bomb that Bert has planted in his truck, and so the
So
moment
after a narrow escape, they get out, and it's just like, well, I just started a bomb. It's like, how big's the bomb? It's like,
you what?
this is when you know it's going to be a really big explosion. So he's just like, so they hide behind a wall, and Bert's like, go farther, go farther,
It's gonna be
go,
big,
go."
big. I love that. It's like this is gonna be big. This is gonna be today. Grady, get your ass down.
And then they get into the ditch, and then you see the minute. Obviously, it's probably a miniature explosion that they have set up,
But it looks
but
fantastic.
it looks beautiful. And then it blows up. Grady's kind of buried in all debris and whatnot. He's made it though. He's fine. But then you see like all the debris landing. Like you see a Graboid corpse fall. No, you see like
that's exactly it. That's how you properly end a Tremors movie. Just
it was so
Graboid
beautiful.
and monster guts just raining down on all the main characters.
Oh, it was-
That's how you end a
speaking of-
Tremors movie.
Speaking of which, I love how earlier in the movie when they're hunting for the Graboids, when they kill the first Graboid, Earl just casually picks up an umbrella and just like
Yep.
cover yourself. Oh man, and then like the way the movie ends is just like so. It sounds like Kate and Earl they're going like, all right, you interested in dating? How do you feel about dating someone?
It's
And I
like,
was like,
that's a sweet little moment.
sweet. And then Grady throughout the entire movie has kind of been talking about kind of like opening up a Graboid theme park, and now he's got some pretty good ideas. And the first idea was like when they're being like dragged around by Radio Graboid.
I mean, shit. I would go to that theme park.
I would. And then like it ends with them kind of just walking back to the refinery. It's just been blown up, and
It's just a giant crater in the ground.
in the ground.
Yeah, we kind of destroyed the refinery.
Destroy the refinery. That's right. We're gonna get paid a lot of money either way. He shouldn't reimburse us. So that does a question. Actually, that does leave a question. Like, do you think they got all that money, or did like Senor Ortega just like, you're not earning any money because you blew up my goddamn
It's like,
refinery?
okay, here's your check, but I'm going to take it back because you owe me for my fucking refinery.
That's a good question. So yeah, just like, do they get the money, or I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to assume they did because like Grady said, they owe him for all the little ones. So if that all accounted for an extra 50,000 for each of those Shriekers, money just raining in
Money well rained down. Money well
like
earned.
at, like Earl is gonna wake up every day like fucking Scrooge McDuck and just dive into his bathtub of gold.
Although realistically speaking, I don't know if you've seen the Family Guy parody of the DuckTales opening, but like you know how like Peter like he tries to go for a swim in the gold.
Solid gold is not a liquid mash.
I think that's what I mean. Realistically, that's what would happen for sure. But then again, that's a fucking cartoon in DuckTales, and so is Family Guy. But yeah. So that's the movie. But what I would like to know, Jeff, is so what do you think a Graboid theme park would look like?
Oh man. So
I haven't really thrown down these thoughts, but I kind of figured like we should just why don't we spend the last few minutes of this just discussing how this thing would work?
I would picture a Graboid themed roller coaster with and all the carts are Graboid tentacles. That'd be one of my suggestions. And
A joyride would be like getting dragged by a radio.
yep.
Would be great. One of the activities you could do is you could pole vault between structures.
Like maybe oh yeah,
You can kind of do like whack-a-mole, and you can kind of do like a whack-a-mole kind of situation and throw like a little like sparklers, and then when it blows up, that's when a graboid blows up. Kind of.
it'd be kind of cool to kind of going off what you said, just have like a giant obstacle course where you can't touch the ground.
Oh, that would, dude.
That would be fun.
You'd have to train for that. I feel like you'd
Like
have
that's some
that would
parkour
require
shit.
so much cardio and so much endurance. I feel
But
like.
God, that would be so much fun.
Oh no, for sure it would. But like, I would just be so exhausted by the end. You go to the gym. I don't. I clearly need to like hit the cardio room or whatnot. But like, fuck, like that obstacle course alone would just be really fun to, wouldn't it? Just be like, heave around, just like, don't touch the ground.
Just let it fucking eat me.
Like doink, doink, and doink. It's you know what? Okay. You know how like the very opening of Tremors 2 opens up with that guy? He's like, he's like,
okay. Actually, random piece of trivia. So that I'm blanking on the gentleman's name, but he was a
Junior.
Yep, he was in. Most of you will probably recognize him from the Lost World Jurassic Park, as he is the gentleman who gets his ass stomped on by the T-Rex foot in multiple puddles.
Oh no! Really?
Yep.
Poor guy. I mean,
interesting couple of years, like getting eaten by a graboid and then get stomped on by a T-Rex.
I'm actually looking at some of his credits here, according to Wikipedia. So like, he looks like he did Battle for the Planet of the Apes in '73, and then
his career goes that far back.
He did Dawn in 2014. He's done RoboCop 2. He did the Need for Speed movie. He's done Tremors 2, the first Universal Soldier, Predator 2, LA Confidential, which is fucking brilliant of a movie.
US fuck yeah, he's in The Running Man.
Oh yeah, he is in The Running Man. Oh, who is he in the Oh, dude, who is he in The Running Man? Who do you think he is?
That was a good question. It's been a while since I've seen it.
And then dude, he's in Speed.
Oh, I love Speed.
Oh my god, he's in what I consider to be the greatest TV show ever made.
What's that?
Walker, Texas Ranger. By the way, I just want to point out, next up, I would like to talk about Walker, Texas Ranger at some point. When I do, just be prepared, because Walker, Texas Ranger, the way I feel about Walker, Texas Ranger is about how you and our mutual friend Reese feel about the Benchwarmers.
You mean a masterpiece of cinema?
And that is your opinion, and I'm going to be infuriated by this, but
it's my undeniable fact, actually.
It is not undeniable fact, god damn it. How can you fucking enjoy that movie?
Because it's a goddamn masterpiece. And Reese is gonna fuck.
he probably would defend that shit to death, wouldn't he? Mm.
We would die for that movie.
I will fucking murder you both for liking that movie. But anyways, final thoughts on Tremors 2?
Tremors 2, it definitely is not as good as the first movie, but it doesn't try to top the first movie, which I kind of appreciate. It does exactly what a sequel should do. And the reduced budget doesn't compromise the quality of the movie overall. It's still very well paced, it's well acted, there's some great dialogue, there's the practical effects are outstanding. Even though the CGI is pretty wonky, it's not enough to take away from the movie as a whole. So if you were hesitant about checking out any of the Tremor sequels just because you saw that they were all straight to video, at least watch the second movie because it's a solid follow up, and it's great to see Fred Ward come back. This movie has some of Michael Gross's best moments in the entire franchise. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I agree. It's a step down from the first one, but then again, it's not trying to be the first one. It's trying to be more of its own kind of story. You have someone thrust into the situation like, ah, shit, I gotta deal with this again. But then, like, he realizes all of his skills that he acquired for during the first one, or how to deal with that situation in the first movie is completely irrelevant, because when you get to this one, it doesn't work because he has to deal with a whole new situation, and they have to learn to adapt, which is brilliant. Much like Jeff, I agree. The characters are. I feel like the chemistry between a lot of the characters is great. Fred Ward and Michael Gross are definitely by far the shining like knights of this movie. And I really enjoy the comedy in this movie. The practical effects are in like top notch for a direct to video film. And then that CGI, the less said about the CGI, the better. But this is like a fun ride from start to finish. Even though I just said it's a step down, by far much better than expected. So Tremors 2, yeah, definitely check it out. It is worth your time.
Alrighty, everyone. So I think that is going to conclude this current episode. So keep a lookout for all the good shit that we have coming towards your way in the future.
But before we go there, what would you say our next episode would be? No, take that back. We're gonna go dark, really dark, into a city full of mysteries. Come back with us soon when we'll check out Dark City. In the meantime, guys, check us out anywhere you can. Follow us on any social medias that we got. So this is going to be it. Well, thanks for listening to Two NerdSkis in a Podcast. This is Eric.
This is Jeff.
We'll see you later, guys. Take it easy.